Hello and welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton. I'm joined by my good friend, the most handsome man at TMZ, Derek Kaufman.
Your best friend, maybe, right?
My best friend in the building?
Go ahead and say it. Let Devin hear who your best friend is.
You could be my best friend in the building.
Yeah, there it is.
So.
It's on record now.
It's on record now. Sorry, Devin, if you're listening.
I know. Unfortunately, Devin's my best friend. So,
so today we'll talk about there's some women who are going into space.
Yeah.
Gayle
Big
King.
news.
Gayle King is going into space. She's one of them. And we've got a couple others we'll mention too there. Very exciting news. It's an all-female space mission.
Ooh, nice.
We'll talk about Kris Jenner because she called out Khloe Kardashian for not performing oral sex on a date.
She's like, you want to be a star in this town?
Right.
She knows the path.
To begin with, though, really sad news. Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog were found dead in their home. Really sad. He was 95.
Yep.
I've got you in. You're the host of the Last Days podcast. What are your thoughts on this?
I was devastated. Look, it's hard to say there's a tragedy when a 95-year-old man passes away. He'd been retired from acting since 2004, so it's not like he was a regular presence in Hollywood. He lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We would get some shots of him. I think we got one last year of him walking out of a seafood restaurant. He was very, very thin, didn't look like the old Gene Hackman, sort of leaning on his wife, Betsy Arakawa. But this is a tragic and somewhat mysterious death because there was a welfare check on his home and officers went in and found everyone, including their family dog, dead. And so, it's maybe not mysterious for a 95-year-old man to pass away, but she was just 63 years old. The dog was also dead. They don't report any sort of suspicion of foul play. What the family thinks happened was possibly carbon monoxide poisoning, which is something that is a silent killer. Weird Al Yankovic's parents very famously died of carbon monoxide poisoning when they lit a fire in their small home. The home fills with carbon monoxide and you sort of pass away in your sleep. It's very tragic because if your fireplace isn't, if your chimney isn't cleared out, it traps in the carbon monoxide created by the fire.
And a lot of people don't have those like sensors in their house.
That's right. And a lot of people, the battery runs out and you never change it. What's a little strange here is he lived in a massive house, a 6,000 square foot house. It's hard to imagine filling that up with carbon monoxide enough to kill you. So this is an active investigation. I mean, we'll see. We will learn more. That is what the family believes. But someone of his stature passing away in these kind of circumstances will create some need to sort of figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously, this just happened yesterday on Wednesday. A neighbor actually called the police because they were concerned. And I guess they had been deceased in the house for a good while.
Yeah, it sounds like, once a welfare check is called in, you only do that if your neighbor isn't seen for a period of time. Unless you're very close to someone, you're not sort of checking in on them unless there's an extended period of time where there's no activity in the house that causes concern for just a neighbor. So we don't know all of the facts yet, maybe, the exact number of days they were in there, how long they maybe have been passed away, but it's very, very sad. Gene Hackman, I don't know, you're a little younger than me, is a massively important actor. In the 70s, he was, in The French Connection, the most famous car chase movie. He was Superman for me growing up. He was the Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeve movies. And then in the 90s, he sort of had this comeback where he was kind of comedic. He was in Welcome to Mooseport. He was in The Royal Tenenbaums. He was incredible and so versatile. The Hollywood community will be very sad about this. You're going to see an outpouring of tributes. You're going to hear from Clint Eastwood because he was in Unforgiven and directed him in that movie. You're going to hear from everyone about the passing of Gene Hackman because it's pretty momentous. He's up there with the Pacinos, De Niro, Nicholson. So this is a very, very big deal.
Also, yesterday, tragically, Michelle Trachtenberg, her mum found her in her bed, dead. Like, she was 39.
Yeah.
She had been looking a bit frail lately. She just had a liver transplant a little while ago. So is that suspicious at all, or just...
I don't know yet. Liver transplant, it's a very important organ. I don't want to sort of be flip about it. That, transplants don't always go well. She was young, though. She was 39. You think someone can survive a transplant surgery and sort of like move on with their life. post liver disease. And it sounds like even as recently as a few nights before her death, she was out in an Italian restaurant. I don't think
She was out and about?
Yeah, I don't think she was on hospice care or anything like that, according to our reporting. So this is pretty sudden news. You know, she did look frail. She had clapped back at some haters, said this is just the way she looked. She was always a thin actress.
Yeah, that's what I hate. Like, people were coming at her, like, in the weeks and months before her death, she was getting online hate because of the way she looked, because she did look frail.
Yeah.
And God, that's just got to torment you, I guess.
And it's hurtful. It's hurtful to her. It's hurtful to her family if they knew more that she was sort of struggling after the transplant. You know, everyone is posting tributes. She's not Gene Hackman, obviously. She was younger and sort of served a different role in Hollywood, but she was beloved. You know, she was in Eurotrip. She was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is someone who's a name brand actress. You know, if you saw Michelle Trachtenberg and you were of a certain age and you grew up with Harriet the Spy when she was a little kid, she was always sort of present and a sort of big deal. So these two tragedies back to back under pretty mysterious circumstances, you know, a liver transplant, found dead in your home in Santa Fe. These are not ordinary deaths. This is the kind of stuff we cover in Last Days, the other podcast.
Right. Yeah. Okay, on to our next story. Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez.
Sounds like the start of a joke. Yeah.
It does. Walk into a bar.
Yeah.
They're all going to space on an all-female mission with Blue Origin, obviously, Jeff Bezos' company. They're going to be joined by, you know, NASA scientists, civil rights activists, and a film producer that you don't know the names of.
Right.
They're all going up with the celebrities. Interesting. This will be the 11th Blue Origin flight, so 11th human into space mission.
Lauren's been up there before?
Has she been up there before?
Is this her inaugural flight? We should know this.
I would have thought Jeff would take her up.
Yeah. I mean,
Jeff
just on a date, you know, blindfold her, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're in space.
Right. Oh,
it's a big date. It's hard to top.
That's actually pretty cute. That'd be a good idea.
I mean, you hear the rumbling of a rocket beneath you, so it's hard to keep the surprise. Maybe your ears pop a little bit.
Yeah, true. So they'll be going there in spring.
Yeah.
It's not a very long mission, is it?
No, here's what I'll say.
A few minutes, isn't it?
You know what I want to quibble with a little bit?
What?
If I watch a lot of, you know, let's call it science content, TikTok, and I read some books that are sort of easy. A lot of people who are scientists and astronomers, Neil deGrasse Tyson, don't think this is a real space travel. They think if you want to do real space travel, you got to do what Elon does, which is get up high enough and get into orbit, because you got to go higher than 62 miles above the Earth to actually start, you know, sort of going in a circle around the Earth like a moon. This is just kind of like a big parabola. It's just kind of like a high flight and then a control. You get a little bit of weightlessness and then you come back down. That's why they're short flights. And so
you got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. Like, I've been on a plane to Australia. Have I been into space?
Yeah. Have I done space as well? There's also flights you can take where they'll just like nosedive and you can experience weightlessness.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
You can do this. There's ways to sort of experience it. You know, I guess you'll get above that blue part of the sky. They will see the blackness of space.
I've flown at night on a plane.
Exactly. Is it any different? I see some stars.
Right.
I also look up when I'm camping. I see stars. I'm sort of a rock in space at that point.
This is just us being jealous.
I'm very, very jealous. This is nerd quibbling with whether they're in space.
So they'll be able to look down, though, and see the Earth in its majesty, the circle.
The big thing is they'll get to see the curvature of the Earth. I don't think they'll get to see the whole Earth because they're not so far above it that they'll see the entirety, but they'll get to see how it's spherical, which, you know, is a big issue. Yeah, a lot of people think it's flat. So they'll get up there and they'll come back and they'll be like, that shit's curved.
Couldn't it be flat and also round? Like, can't it be both things?
I don't know why you would say that, and I'm upset that you would even have a flat Earth bone in your body.
I see a lot of media out there, a lot of compelling media.
Jeff, prove it to me.
Send
me up in the rocket.
I'm not going to believe it even if he proves it. Like, this is where we are as a society. Like, I think the Earth's flat. Okay, on to our final story. Kris Jenner. This is a pretty funny clip, actually.
Yeah.
I don't usually like doing Kardashian clips, but I'm into this one. Let's have a listen to what Khloe has to say about her mum giving her dating advice.
One of the LA teams, and us three were in the kitchen, and we were like talking together, and I was like, my mom was not involved in the conversation, but her office was off to the kitchen. And I was like, so-and-so isn't calling me back, yada, yada. And we're just chatting. And she's like, what are you guys talking about, girls? And we're like, just this guy won't call me back. She's like, well, how many dates did you go on? I'm like, well, just like one or two.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, did you give him a BJ? And
we were like, what?
And she goes, did you give him a BJ? I go, I went on like one or
date.
2 dates with him. No. And she goes, well, that's why he's not calling you back.
Wow.
I love this so much. There's a lot of reasons I love this.
There's a lot.
Kim is, or Kris is the momager, right?
Yes.
She has made this family so famous through her tactics. It also reveals a lot about how Kris sees the world and how she sees dating. It brings me back to Rob Kardashian, the late Robert Kardashian must have had a great life.
Oh, Corey Gamble is that's why he's always got a smile on his
always
face.
Smiling and, backward. So this is how she sees the world. And to speak this way to your daughters, there is sort of an openness in the family. And Khloe never really got as famous as Kim. And maybe she's sort of like wondering what was missing. Maybe it's that.
It's a funny advice for a mum to give to a daughter, though. Like, Kim also said recently that Kris had encouraged her to take naked photos and send them to guys she's interested in. It's just interesting.
It blows my mind.
Families view sex and intimacy in very different ways, and I don't.
They're not prudes. I'll give them that.
They're not prudes at all.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't there that whole thing like, did Kris convince Kim to shoot that sex tape in the first place? There's always that sort of speculation. When I hear stuff like that, what Khloe just said, when I hear Kim say, Kris wants me to send naked photos to guys, I start to go, you know what? Maybe Kris did tell Kim to bang Ray J. And, I mean, even if she did, genius move. Look where it's got the family.
We'll never know unless Kris says, yes, I did that, or Kim says it or something. But we know that Kim wanted the sex tape released, right? It's consensually released. It was, this is not something that she sued over like Pamela Anderson and said it was stolen from a safe or anything like that. It's a different video. And I think, I don't know. I like Kris.
Me too.
I like Kris. I think it's odd to speak with your family that way, but there's also a bit of like candor of like, this is Hollywood, guys. This is how we made it big, and they're sort of like unashamed of it, and they're sort of pulling back that we are like puritanical and we look at sex in a certain way, and they're like, not us.
Right.
Not us. Maybe Khloe, but she's never going to make it. She's never going to make it in this town if you
and we know why. We know why.
I think it's cool. What I also find interesting about this clip is now with podcasts, they're making another late gasp at like sort of relevance. I find the Kardashians have sort of crested and they're on the downswing, but they have so many stories to tell through podcasting that they're making this another effort to be popular again, and it's kind of working. Like there's something compelling about them.
And sex sells, and that's kind of what they kind of are. They're selling sex in a way, and like even with the Skims, and whatever brands they've got, the makeup, it's all just like them looking hot, or other models looking hot, and we're going to sell it to you, and that's basically the sex tape. Give the guy a BJ and he'll keep coming back to you.
I marvel at them too. They're gorgeous. They're not even like human at this point. These women are all in their 40s.
Yeah.
And they just don't look like most women in their 40s because I know a few. I mean, like Mary's beautiful, but people age. Like people do age.
Right.
But not the Kardashians.
They wilt.
Mary hasn't wilted. She's beautiful.
Shout out to Mary, you beautiful, beautiful lady.
It's incredible. I study them like I look at these clips like I go to a zoo. I'm just like observing.
Yeah,
it's very interesting to me.
Okay, a few of your comments to read out. Marcy says it's strange circumstances that led to Gene Hackman's death, but yeah, the carbon monoxide makes sense to Marcy. VZ said, get a sensor, leave a window open at night.
Jeez, that's sort of death shaming a little bit. But it's true. It's a silent killer.
Now. Yeah, I mean, it is. But also, those sensors, they always go beep, 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 beep. It's just like, okay, then you just take it off the wall.
It's the first thing that you take down in the middle of the night because it's annoying you.
Yeah.
And that's sad because this can happen.
Justin says, I'm a firefighter, and carbon monoxide was the first thought that came to my mind when I heard about the situation and their ages. The dog was the most suspicious in this case for me.
I agree with Justin. The dog is what flips it from. Your first thought might be, could this be a really dark tale of euthanasia, sort of a mercy killing,
or a romantic
murder, suicide?
I thought romantic tale of like people wanting to leave this earth together.
That's right, like The Notebook, wanting to hold hands in neighboring beds. But the dog passing away makes it seem more like carbon monoxide, makes it seem a bit accidental.
And I was hearing that Santa Fe, where they passed away, has had issues with carbon monoxide leaks.
Oh, interesting.
Pretty recently, like as a town or whatever.
Yeah.
There's been many reported, like that's going around this morning that
Oh, wow.
this wasn't like out of the blue happening in Santa Fe. So maybe that leads to it was an accident. Who knows at this stage?
Yeah. You know, carbon dioxide gets a lot of bad press, but carbon monoxide, you don't hear about it. It's going to be back in the news.
Right. On Gayle King, Bezo Lego says, I don't know how Gayle is getting on a rocket. Just getting on a plane right now is scary AF.
This is
True.
something I do wonder. Do people have like fear about doing these things at the leading edge of technology? Like space travel is still dangerous, man. We're not that far from the Challenger. You're on basically a bomb that is exploding to propel you into space. And she's just like, woo, I'll do it on the Today Show.
But would you prefer to be on a Boeing? Would you prefer to be on a Boeing than a Blue Origin?
I'm nervous on all of them. I like just driving or maybe bicycle.
Bicycle.
Once you get on motorized transport, man.
Don't bike on the street though. I hate those bicyclists on the street, man. Do you want to get hit?
I now ride with Nixie, and I'm always nervous about car doors opening.
Yeah.
Less about getting clipped by a moving car, but man, a car door open, lights out.
Lights out. Big phobia. Ruby says, just wanted to say hi to you guys and hoping for a shout out. Shout out to Ruby.
There you go, Ruby. Shout out, Ruby. That's the name of my babysitter. Ruby. It's a good song.
Is that from, that's an English band, isn't it? Ruby.
Yes, Kaiser Chiefs.
I love that song.
Very cool.
I love that song. Daphne's Life said Charlie should become a shampoo model. Amazing hair. Share your secret.
You do have beautiful hair.
You guys are convincing me to wash my hair more often because I seem to get more positive feedback when it's washed.
Let me say something. I'm gonna explode something. We call you dirty a lot. That hair is actually luxuriously soft.
I know you guys say like
Natural,
you don't shower. You don't like. I shower more than I love. Like who doesn't want to stand under hot rain?
You smell great.
I just don't want to use soap.
I'm downwind right now. You
Right.
smell great. Intoxicating.
And finally, Marcy P. Oh, now you've got a haircut comment. Nice haircut, Derek.
Yeah, that's
You wanna tell him?
That's a compliment in two ways because not only is this a nice haircut, it's a nice haircut that I gave myself.
Yes, you're your own hairdresser.
You take a mirror, you get the clippers, and you go to town. Short haircuts are pretty easy. I mean, now that people know, I feel like they're scrutinizing exactly how it looks.
You look like a yes sir. It looks like you could set your watch to that.
There's a little bit of military aspect to it, but I do it for the convenience.
And the cost saving. That's just something we share. We share this. I cut my own hair too. Like, why would you go if you're just cutting off an inch or so?
You can go in two directions. You can let it get sloppy and raggedy like yours, or you can clip it every week.
You look fantastic. Bro.
Thank you. Thanks, Marcy.
No, thanks, Marcy. Thanks everyone for commenting. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank everyone for not listening too.
Yeah. R.I.P. Gene Hackman and Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah. We'll end on that note.
Yeah. Sorry to bring it down, but tough day.
All right. Thank you, Derek.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you guys here tomorrow. Goodbye.